Well, the Pentagon says Beijing is continuing to raise tensions and destabilise one of the most contested regions in the world, the South China Sea. Well, that's after China landed long-range bombers on a disputed island for the very first time. The Chinese Air Force says it coordinated the takeoff and landing of several bombers, including the nuclear-capable H-6K. Well, the military claims the mission is to improve its reach and strike capabilities. A Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman argues the islands in the South China Sea are China's territory. He says the relevant military activities are normal trainings and other parties should not over-interpret them. Well, parts of the South China Sea are claimed by multiple surrounding countries, including the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia and Brunei. Well, let's get more now from Sam Rojavine, a senior fellow, I should say, at the Lowy Institute, an independent international policy think tank based in Australia. Mr. Rojavine joins us from Canberra. Thanks so much for being with us. Now, China is making no secret of what it's built in the South China Sea and its new capabilities. Should the region be concerned by these latest developments, and does it pose a threat?
Yeah, it should be concerned. Look, this is part of a gradual militarisation that China has embarked on, which it promised not to do, by the way. President Xi Jinping made that promise to President Obama. It's happened anyway. We saw a few weeks ago news that China had deployed anti-ship missiles and long-range anti-aircraft missiles to various of its new artificial islands in the South China Sea. And now, as you mentioned, we get word that long-range bomber aircraft, the H-6K, has been flown to Woody Island, which is the northernmost of China's territories in the South China Sea. No actual landings, but they did some landing exercises, touch and goes as they're called, with a clear signal to the region and to the world that that China, I think, aims to continue its militarisation of the region.
Well, tell us, the Pentagon obviously has come out, accused China of raising tensions and destabilising the region, but realistically, what can the United States do to stop China without going to war?
Not much. That is, in fact, the dilemma that we all face, all Western powers and all countries that are concerned about China's behaviour. And in fact, there's an argument's been put that it's already too late, that really the South China Sea now is very much belongs to China, and that we've left it a little bit too late to try and resist Chinese pressure in that region and, the slow process of China developing its forces and developing a form of sovereignty over the region. I think the aim from here will be to make sure that that we don't let things slide any further. So the United States could do things like launching freedom of navigation operations. America's allies could do the same thing as well to demonstrate to China that, at least in law, if not in fact, that the US and its friends and allies don't recognise China's claims on the region.
But I think we can safely assume that China will continue with its construction of military bases and facilities in the South China Sea. Do you believe that this will lead to a confrontation down the track?
Well, I think one way to approach that question is to ask ourselves how we got here in the first place. And, with a lot of analysts now saying that essentially the struggle for the South China Sea is more or less lost, and that China won and that China's efforts have succeeded. Now, how did that happen? Well, I think the reason it happened is because the South China Sea, the region, mattered more to China than it did to the countries that were opposing it. Effectively, they made an implicit decision that they weren't going to struggle hard enough against what China was doing in order to stop it. So I think in future, these countries need to ask themselves again, how important are any of these points of dispute, and do we actually think they're important enough to risk the possibility of armed conflict with China? And I think in most cases, certainly in the South China Sea, but perhaps in the Pacific, perhaps even in North Korea, where China has interests, the answer is going to be that China's interests are far more central, far higher than they are to the rest of us. and that therefore our tolerance for risk, the West's tolerance for risk, is going to be lower than that of China.
Well, Sam Roggeveen from the Lowy Institute, we thank you very much for joining us from Canberra tonight.